Greetings! Welcome to the stream. I hope everyone is having a good Monday. I hope everyone is having a good week. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for joining us and for showing up a little bit early. It's very, very much appreciated. Hello, welcome. I hope everyone is doing well. I hope everyone is doing okay. I have been so excited about tonight's stream. I tell you, this had to get moved a couple of times, but it's kind of fitting that it's happening at the end of the month. We've had a whole month of the Deepest Dark, and we're sort of closing it off. We're soft closing it, gently closing it like a bedroom door, closing it very gently at the end of the month, a few days before the crowdfunder ends. So thank you everyone who I'm sure Ella and Georgia will be saying this later, but thank you if you have contributed to the backer kit. Crowdfunder, very much appreciated. It's very exciting to see this game come together, to see this game get made, and I'm having a lot of fun putting the soundtrack together. But we're not going to be doing that tonight. Tonight we are doing something different. Tonight, the reason we're starting earlier is because we want to pack as much Deepest Dark, as much being in a cave as possible into our stream tonight, as we do the second part of our Deepest Dark playthrough. As we conclude the thrilling conclusion, the tragic conclusion, the sad conclusion, other adjectives, as we bring to a close our playthrough of the Deepest Dark. I'm obviously not going to be doing that alone. I'm obviously going to be doing that with all of these delightful, amazing people who are joining us tonight to play this game. And with that, I will pass you over to our host for tonight's festivities, Ella.
Hello. I would consider myself to be co-host at least. You're not gonna leave, are you?
No. I'm gonna go over there and which is away from the microphone and any control.
Yeah,
of the stream,
but you'll come back.
I hope so.
It's fine. Yeah. Amber, don't go into the cave. Yeah, no.
I knew it.
It's always hard to call the ending. It's always difficult to call the ending of this particular game thrilling because we all know what's going to happen. We've all known what's going to happen since the start. A spoiler alert: they're going to die in a cave. I hope it's cathartic. So yes, for those of you who are not familiar, for those of you tuning in for the first time, and for those of you who just might not remember, the first half was a little while ago. Let's get some ground rules and information out the way. The first most important thing, honestly, just straight up top, is content warnings. We are going to be playing an actual play of my TTRPG, The Deepest Dark, which is a zine that I'm creating with Georgia. The Deepest Dark is about, as I alluded to previously, dying in a cave. So please be aware that if you are uncomfortable with content that centers around claustrophobia, darkness, suffocation, potentially drowning, being buried alive, and these kinds of themes, this might not be a stream for you. Please do not push yourself to watch something that you know that you won't enjoy or feel comfortable with. There are so many other cool channels on Twitch. You can watch something else. Please watch something else. If you are still here, then welcome. Thank you. I will emphasize that The Deepest Dark is not a gratuitously dark game. We're not really in the slasher genre of horror. We're more in the kind of thriller and suspense genre. So it's a relatively gentle kind of fear. It's quite a building fear. At the same time, there might be times when the characters are in real peril or really bad things might happen to them and they might have significant injuries and they will die. So be aware of that. All right, now we've gotten the safety and content stuff out of the way. This is why you should watch the game anyway. The Deepest Dark is a zine inspired by The Quiet Year and 10 Candles. I promise it is fun to play, even though you are mostly role-playing dying in a cave. It is a somewhat semi-turn-based game in which players take turns to narrate and describe the story, where they are a group of scientists who have been trapped underground by a cave-in. Scientists, artists, activists in the real world. They had headed off on a 2-week-long expedition, but when they get trapped underground, they are left with a choice, which is to give up or to continue on and look for what they came down here for. They decide to move on, and across the course of their journey, they encounter various wonders, which are remarkable things in the caves, which fill them with hope and awe, and generally a sense of inspiration from the beauty of the natural world. And hazards, frightening things that happen, traps and dangers that frighten them or dispirit them or depress them, challenges that they have to get through. They work together. Each of us is our own GM. Each of us is our own player. So whilst I am facilitating the game tonight because it is a game I designed and because we're doing an actual play, I am also very much a player, and everyone here is also very much a GM. And they are in control of what happens to their character and how their character is presented to the world and what their character finds in the world. The game will eventually end. What we know as players, and what you know as the audience, is that our characters died in the cave in. But our characters don't know that. Our characters believe themselves to still be alive. And across the course of this journey, they slowly realize that they have, in fact, been dead all along. And when they finally come as a group to this realization, they will pass on. We will not see what happens to them after they pass. We will only see them in their last moment before they fade from the world that we know. I think that is everything about the game. So, last but not least, my name's Ella. My pronouns are she, her. I'm a white woman with glasses and brown hair. And I am joined by a bunch of wonderful players. I would like it if they could please introduce themselves to me, starting with Wren.
Hi, I'm Wren. I go by Masqueran on the internet. I am a black non-binary person who is currently has curly hair that is down to shoulders, and I'm wearing a burgundy turtleneck.
Nice use of the word burgundy. All right, Poorna.
Hi, I'm Poorna. I am joining you all from India. My pronouns are she, her. I am also a person of color. I am a femme person with shoulder length curly black hair, and I'm currently wearing a purple t-shirt.
It looks very comfy. We're also very thankful to Poorna for being awake at a time in the morning that she should not be awake to play this game with us. And thank you to her husband as well for letting her be here. With love and support to his wonderful game design. Georgia.
Hi, I'm Georgia. I go by she, her pronouns. I'm a white presenting person with long brown hair. And that's me. Hi.
Hello. And last but certainly not least, Nathan.
Hi, I'm your androgynous android late night DJ, Nathan Blades. Pronouns he, they. I am a black semi-mask presenting person with rectangular blue glasses and a very retro, like a high top fade fro. What's good, everybody?
It looks great. I also just, every time you say androgynous android, Nathan also has their own stream channel, and I'm just always a bit like, whoo, I feel like I'm meeting a celebrity.
You are meeting a celebrity, it's true.
I am. Okay, we are all playing a bunch of characters. So we're also going to, in a moment, introduce our characters. I'm going to recap what happened in our last game, and then we will pick back up with our new game, where the wonderful Amber is going to be making some music for us, playing some spooky cave noises, and hopefully we'll make each other really sad. That's the goal. Crying with consent, for fun, with friends. We, as I said before, we have a group of scientists, activists, and artists. So I guess going in reverse this time, Nathan, please could you introduce us to your character?
Sure. In this little tale, I will be playing Temperance, or Perry, a photographer who previously likes to kind of specifically photograph places that other people cannot normally see. They've been into space before, don't you know? However, at one point in their career, they took some very bad advice and did a heavy pivot on one of their kind of gallery exhibitions. It was very specific, controversial. They were cancelled, and have been doing the apology tour ever since. They have gotten into this cave diving exhibition to go and find a variety of gems and insects down here that nobody would ever normally be able to see, and hopefully capturing that deep, hard to find beauty will bring back their glory. Little do they know. Little do they know.
Do you know, it's funny, I wrote down from when we started playing last time, just "been to space!" exclamation mark next to going back round the clock. Georgia, please could you introduce us to your character?
Yes, I am playing Dr. Edward Green, who is an entomologist studying bugs, specifically beetles, and he is down in this cave trying to find a colony of beetles that he believes live deep underground, and they have only ever found dead specimens of near the surface. So he is here to reunite one of his specimens with the living colony.
Poorna, please introduce us to your character.
Hi, I'm playing Ilana Ravencroft, who is hydrologist. So far has always been an armchair hydrologist, always working in offices and things. And this was to get some proper fieldwork in to in terms of why her work matters. And the specific work that she was helping with is to report about the safety of the water networks in this cave system.
I love her. And again, last but not least, Wren, please introduce us to your character.
Well, not last, because you still have to go.
Oh, yeah.
You exist in the game.
I keep
yes.
forgetting.
I am playing Louise DaCosta, who is an archaeologist. Previously, we found that Louise had lost her family in a landslide, and she became an archaeologist to try and recover lost precious things, and so is on this dig with a vague personal interest of trying to recover something unique that someone lost.
And yeah, kind of the discovery of what had happened to Louise was very moving. I do recommend, if you missed the first half, it is available to watch back on YouTube. Genuinely do watch it. I think it's brilliant. The music Amber made was beautiful, but the storytelling that this group of people made was also pretty damn compelling, in my opinion. Yes, I am also a character in the game. Thank you for the reminder, Wren. I am playing Joan Cook. She is a cartographer who uses she, him pronouns, so she, her, and he, him. Joan, is a professional in a dying art. He is trying to map these caves because he thinks it might be useful for someone to have a map of them one day. People like this group of people going on this expedition here, maybe if they had a map it would be safer for them. But she is also very aware that she is rapidly being made redundant by things like Google, and she is a sort of a butch tweed wearing person in her 50s. So with our characters introduced, the last thing to do is just to recap what happened last time. We were in a cave-in. That was pretty bad. We came out of the cave-in miraculously unscathed. We all seemed to, at least at first look, only have really superficial scrapes and bruises. So we decided, after some protestation from Perry, who wanted to just sit down and wait for us to get a rescue, we eventually decided that we would move on, partly because we realised, to Perry's horror, because Perry had not been sufficiently informed, that this was a 2-week-long expedition. We had no way of reaching our friends on the surface, and our friends on the surface would not come looking for us for at least 2 weeks. So we had to keep going. So we decided to move on with our packs and our expedition supplies. On the way, the first thing we found as a wonder, as it were, was an enormous cavern discovered by Alana. Something so huge you would not think it could possibly exist down here. And yet at the same time horrifying for that immensity, because it meant that Alana was struck by the realization of just how deep we were for something this big to exist. We moved on and found another wonder, and I did not make good notes about what the next wonder was.
It was covered in moss.
Moss
in
chamber.
particular.
Oh
Yes, tiny moss chamber.
Yes, the beautiful moss chamber. So we found this kind of tiny chamber off the major cavern, full of living moss, and it was remarkable that there could be something alive down here, in such a deep and dark and frightening environment. However, then to move on, Joan found that there was essentially a squeeze to go through. In fact, no, it wasn't Joan. It was someone who went first who Joan wanted to help. I think it was Edwin. And Joan went in to help, and then I think it was Louise who came in to help us. 3 of us got stuck in that squeeze, and whilst we were stuck in that squeeze... Am I mixing up my playtests? I might be.
You did. I definitely recall Joan getting stuck in the tunnel, and you started to panic slightly about.
And I
the
think
fact
it was
that you might be
Louise who
running out
came
of air.
in.
It was
help.
Louise who helped.
Yeah.
Louise who came in
Yeah.
calmly, put a hand on Joan's foot, talked to Joan to breathe and stay calm, moved on through it. Yes, this is the. Thank you. Apologise, because I am the game designer. I've been playing this game a lot recently. But yeah, Joan on her belly going through this crawl got stuck, nearly panicked. Louise calmed her down. We got through this tunnel into the next area, and it was Perry who discovered a wonder this time. A chamber full of stalactites and stalagmites, and so dark, but with a phosphorescence that made it look like the night sky and made it look extraordinarily beautiful. And Perry, who up until this point had been kind of, the focus had been going in and out of places. I think I remember Nathan Perry taking a picture of the group against that kind of night sky.
Yes, it was so too dark to see in a way that our headlamps wouldn't hit. So Perry used one of their photography flash bulbs with a big high whining charge, and that burst of light sat within almost the phosphorescence of the stalactites in the ceiling, so even after that light went away, it then glittered like stars after the fact, like the beetle that Edwin has been looking for.
Yes, which is colloquially referred to as the Starry Night Beetle, which Edwin revealed to us when Perry asked to know more about it, to know what to photograph if they were to discover it. Alrighty, so I believe in our original group order, the next person in the circle is Poorna, Ilana. So, Ilana, in this game, for people watching, we roll to explore and then to descend. Exploring is usually safer, whereas descending is a little bit more dangerous. Then wait, is it Poorna or is it Wren next? It's either Poorna or Wren next, but do you think it is Wren next? Okay, sorry, thank you. We roll to explore, and we had rolled previously for this strata that we're on. We have explored 4 chambers thus far. There are 2 more to discover on this level. So, Wren, thank you. Louise, please could you roll our hope and despair? So we have 4 hope currently and 2 despair. Despair cancels out the same numerical results on hope, and we just need 1 success, so 1 roll of a 4 or higher on a d6 to pass.
So for the audience, and not just me, that's 4 d6 and then 2 d6?
Mm-hmm.
Great.
That is right, thank you so much. Yes, ideally 2
Yes, I
distinct
do
colours
have different
to make life
colors.
Oh, that was
Hope
for
is
the
blue and
audience.
despair is black.
Oh, yeah, no. I mean, hey, listen.
Okay. Hope is good. Hope is good. Despair. Oh, that's fine. So on hope we got 4 and a 6, and a 1 and a 3, and then on despair we got 5 and a 1.
Okay, so that's good. So the despair didn't cancel any out.
No.
And also we get to keep the 6 because we spend results that are lower than 6. So we'll only spend 1 hope on this roll, which is going to be your resource, Wren Louise, your hope, which is the 4. But we do successfully get to the next room and you find a wonder. So you can either describe it or you can roll on the roll table, which is a d20 roll table. If you don't have it up in front of you, I can just, if you roll a d20, I can tell you what you get.
I've got it. I'll use your lovely roll table that is available in copies of the Deepest Dark.
Check out
Oh,
my amazing
goodness.
professionals.
Okay, that is a beautiful tomb.
Okay. So as we leave this chamber with the stalagmites that Perry's camera had set off the phosphorescence of, and we leave that kind of glittering light, describe how Louise enters the next room and what she finds there.
This chamber, the phosphorescence carries, it lights as the stalactites get smaller and smaller, but there is still some emanating from around a corner. And as we turn, we see that someone has taken some pieces of this purple red crystal, and they have carved it. There are small, about waist height statuettes in vague shapes of people that almost look as if they're meant to be guardians. And behind them, there is a flat surface raised above the ground. It is smoothed, and on top it still, there is another figure, but this one appears attached to the wall and made of the stone itself. It is a figurine of what appears to be a young woman, and her hands are gathered, cupped in front of her. There is water that drips down the back of this wall, and it coats her body and her face as if it's been rained on, as if she's been crying. But within her hands, there are these odd little stones that are somewhat polished. And it seems that whoever had been visiting here had been coming and laying offerings within the palms of her hands. Maybe a form of penance, but the stones do not match any that they've seen in here. They've come from beyond and outside. And if she had more time, she might inspect them and try to determine their locale, but Louise is standing there and gazing at this and just wondering why this person is down here and why they took so much time and care to guard them, but they're still alone.
I think that and great moment for the audience and the players because this game is still being playtested, although it's pretty close to the final version now. when we find a wonder, we can have a brief group scene as we experience the wonder. Because the idea is that all of our characters are somehow impacted by this. The person who sets it up, perhaps the most, but all of us are allowed to respond to it if we want to. So I think that Joan, like, I think it seems extremely struck by this because he keeps looking at his map that he's been drawing of the caves, and he's looking at his map where in the entrance we found these shattered, extraordinarily sharp red crystals that Louise just mentioned that she had to pick out of Perry's hand after they cut into Perry's hand, and she's thinking of the muddy slope that took us into that giant cavern, and she's thinking of the tight tunnel that she nearly got trapped in, and even the stalactite cave and the moss cave. And he is just looking at his map and looking at this tomb and thinking about how extraordinarily difficult it was to get here, and imagining people like routinely doing that journey on purpose, like people consciously on purpose coming down here. And he is so overwhelmed by the idea that either this tomb is so old that these things have come after, that the hazards weren't there before, or that this tomb was so important that people came despite the hazards and despite the danger and despite what for us has been a very harrowing experience. So yeah, I think.
There is a bit of a dry smile on Temperance's face. What a surprise to find something so human down here. I suppose it means that if there have been visitors this deep in the cave in the past, then they must be able to get back just fine.
My thoughts exactly. And Alana's also sort of looking around in sort of contrast to having been in that cavernous space, which decidedly brought her down. As Ella mentioned in the last episode, it was nerve-wracking how deep we are. To know, to realize that something so everyday and still so important to so many people's lives can be here and has clearly been accessed. I think Elena will be trying to convince herself that this is a place of worship that was, or apparent place of worship that was used recently in modern times. It's not a relic of the past. She's just going to try and convince herself that there must be some pathway out of here that we just aren't seeing in this chamber.
Well, I must say then that the idea of going to explore the cave instead of waiting wasn't a terrible idea. This does give us something of a clue to an exit. I did not mention earlier, or at least in this recording, but Perry's outfit as a cave diver is different to everybody else's. They're wearing this kind of bodysuit that's not inappropriate for hard work, but it is sleek and modern looking. Quite form-fitting. But more than that, Perry is wearing a pair of mirror shades, which is maybe antithetical to the idea of being in a dark space, but it does not seem to bother them any. But it also means that you can't really read their expression too easily. But their wry smile then, upon kind of announcing that, oh, this just means that moving out of here is very feasible. And it moves into a light frown.
Joan kind of hesitates and looks at her map, looks at all of you and how you're responding, and I'm curious as to how Edwin is as well, but eventually he just sort of folds his map away and puts it into his pocket and chooses to clear his throat and say, yes, perhaps. Doesn't seem very willing to confidently endorse or disagree with these assertions. it is Poorna's turn next, Ilana's turn next to roll. But just before we do, and also I should say, Wren, you spent a hope in your roll, but you gained a hope from exploring, so it all came out to you've got 1 hope, and despair again. It's the same as it was before. What is Edwin's reaction, Georgia?
Edwin isn't in this cave yet. He's still back in the Starry Night cave that we've all just left. And I think if there's still space to see back over your shoulder into this dark space, you'll see him as this little figure, possibly almost unrecognizable in the darkness, above this these flickering lights. And he's just looking up at these rocky stars that have been made by your flash of the camera. And as he turns to come back into where everyone's talking, for a moment his eyes, he's wearing glasses, and then on top of his glasses kind of safety goggles for caving. His eyes, there seemed to be just a flash of something inside them, which it could just be a trick of the light, it could be something else, but something seems to be in there that shouldn't really be in there. And then it's there, and it's gone, and it's just Edwin, and he joins you inside this cave, just kind of blinking a bit in this new space, as if he hadn't quite expected to come out of the darkness.
I love that. Okay. Ilana, please could you give us a roll? This is the last chamber to explore before we have to descend. And on group hope of 4 and group despair of 2.
Okay. So hope was 5, 1, 3, and 3. And despair was 3 and 4.
Okay, great. So another success. Nothing is cancelled out by despair, but we will have to use that hope. At the moment, people who have hope are Joan, Temperance, and Edwin, and Louise. So any of us can help you, but Ilana will need some help from someone because currently she is running low on supplies. So if you would like to, you can roll on the roll table to see what you find. But tell us what wonder you find and how you get there and who helps you get there.
Just gonna roll.
And whilst Poorna is rolling, I'm going to mention what I realised I forgot I mentioned at the beginning of the stream. This is a game that is currently crowdfunding. If you would like to play this game yourself, or own a copy of it, or indeed own a copy of the album that is being composed by our wonderful composer Amber, who's doing the music right now, then you can do that. It's on BackerKit for the next 4 days. You can buy a digital or physical copy of the zine. We will be endeavouring to post it worldwide, and we are also offering digital copies of the soundtrack album that will be composed by Amber, as well as a very limited number of cassette tapes which will have the album on them. We are currently just under £500 away from our one and only stretch goal, which is that if we make it to £6,000, then we will release a new batch of cassette tapes for people who weren't able to order them. They sold out in the first couple of hours of the first day. So if you weren't able to get a cassette tape at the very start, then if we make it to our stretch goal, you'll be able to get a cassette tape as an add-on. And hopefully my sales speech has given Poorna enough time. Although I just directed to her, she took a sip. Never mind.
So, but this is just to clarify, a new chamber, right? Not the same one.
Yes, a new chamber.
Okay. So, compared to the chamber that Louise just described, I think Ilana was so excited at the prospect of there being a path out, another path to this chamber of worship, as far as she can tell. Maybe an easier path out that she sort of rushed past the others to try and find this path, it's like a rising desperation. Even as her movements grow slower, you can feel that they are more nervy. And the chamber that she comes to, it's not even exactly a chamber. It's, again, this humongous space. It looks like if I hadn't just witnessed so many other chambers and known properly that I am underground, although Alana is very quickly losing faith in her own ability to understand what she's witnessing. It looks more like a clearing in a forest. There is a subterranean forest all around this chamber, and much like a forest, there isn't just one path ahead. There's so many little paths or little nooks and crannies that look like they could be paths if you just pushed some foliage out of the way. It's strangely comforting and calms her down initially when she sees it, because she thinks, forest, this is closer to water networks, this is where the water source must have come from, the same one that's dripping onto the statue we just saw. And she's looking around in wonder, and there's, on one side of the chamber, the forest is just covered in tiny dewdrops. And whatever feeling whoever must have worshipped at the last chamber must have gotten, she feels almost a similar gratitude for having found a safe space. There is water here. There are things that grow. There is life in this chamber. This is a good sign. It has to be. Doesn't it? It has to be.
I think I'd like to add, because I think that we will be putting in the zine as a little bit of footnotes of when these wonders are inspired by real things. This is a real thing that exists in the world. There really are underground rainforests. They really exist. They're extraordinary. They can exist as deep underground as 300 meters, which it can be hard to conceptualize, but the height of Big Ben is how deep underground these forests can live, and they can have trees that are 40,000 years old. They have species of orchid and beetle that don't exist anywhere else in the world, and they also have microclimates, which means that many people who live near them have folklore about them being inhabited by spirits or demons of wind and rain. Because at any moment, and if you're willing, Poorna, I'd like to suggest maybe now, it can suddenly start to rain for a few minutes inside these forests, where they are basically a miniature terrarium, and so it will literally rain on Alana's face as she gets in here.
So I think I like to tie it to something from Alana's past. So I think, contrary to a lot of people's experience, Alana's safe space and one of her first memories is getting to play in the first rain of the season, in their backyard, at home. And so whenever the first rains of the season start, it's sort of, she creates this happy bubble and uses that memory to get through tough times in the rest of the year, and especially those first rains when she was a child. And I think the fact that she steps in, feels a surge of hope, and feels rain on her face is just, she finally feels like what someone who might have a normal relationship with rain might feel if they saw a lantern or a light or a candle in the darkness. But she is... You see her expression change, her eyes close, and there's this beatific expression on her face as she just feels the rain on her face, her arms, and just wants this moment to last until she is safe again.
That's beautiful. Okay, it is. We have explored every chamber on this level. There is nowhere else to go but down. Georgia, Edwin, it is your turn to roll to descend. Now, because we are going from the second to the third level, it's a little bit harder for us to descend. So you are... once again, we spent a hope and gained a hope, so it ended up leveling out. You have 4 hope and 2 despair. That's what the group has. But this time, you need 3 successes. You need 3 results of 4 or higher in order for us to successfully descend. Otherwise, you will encounter a hazard that we will need to overcome. So please roll and tell me what you get.
Did you say 3 despair?
2 despair, 4 hope.
2 despair. Cool. Okay.
But you need 3
hope.
successes.
Hope I got 3 ones and a 5.
Oh boy. Not great.
And despair, I got a 2 and a 5. So,
wow. Okay.
Eddie did great.
All right. So we're going to resolve this mechanically and narratively. So mechanically, the other players, anyone else who has hope to spend, which is, actually, this is relevant because Ilana got hope from that last cave we went into. Who helped you get in there, Poorna?
Sure. Oh, right. I'll let you enlist rather than me volunteering.
I would much prefer volunteer,
fair enough.
So if you
Yeah.
volunteer, if you'd like to volunteer, please.
Yeah, I think can we rather than rewinding, we see in the moment of Ilana kind of standing in the rain for quite a while, and then there is a sound, and you stop feeling the rain on you, and the camera, as it were, pulls back, and Parry is standing behind you with an umbrella. You are going to get your food supplies sodden if you stand there.
I think Elana looks back at you, and I think just maybe because you have been a photographer for a while, you've been to space, and seen all manner of things. You've captured big moments and small moments, and you just, for a second, when Ilana turns back, you don't see the person that you have been on this adventure with. You see her smile as it must have been when she was 5, and when she turns back, and there's this confusion on her face, both between, but I want the rain, but then you've said the thing about the food, to be like, oh, right. And then this also confusion between happy, rain, but wait, this is like, seeing you behind me is bringing me back to the moment we're in. And sort of like, so you see her smile kind of falter, but she just sort of then quietly says, thanks you for the assist, but looks kind of discomforted.
I made sure to capture the moment before I interrupted you. With the free hand not holding the umbrella, they produce not the camera itself, but like a pocket viewing window, as it were, so it's like separate to the camera. This person has tech on them, and with a thumb kind of winds it back to the shot they took of you. We can't see you in the picture. there is the outline of you. There is the rain that is hitting the object, hitting an Alana-shaped object within the rainforest. You are not in it. That's strange. Still, it's a pensive view. I think it might be well liked.
Ilana's...
And
Sorry, I was just going to say that Ilana remarks that you have a viewfinder and a pathos finder in your lenses, clearly.
Yes, well...
Thank you for capturing this.
I think they've also started to move on to look for a way down, so we should catch up.
Right. Yes. We should... Yeah, we can move on, I suppose.
So yeah, spending my hope to assist in the scene before we descend. Doing that means that I spend a hope to do that, or...
Yeah, so it means that you go down to
I know it's 0 hope.
0, yeah. And Poorna goes up to 1 hope. Where
so the net didn't change, but who has the hope changed? I understand.
Exactly. And that part, so for people watching, we track who's contributing hope, which both is morale but also resources to the group, as opposed to despair, which is like kind of like feeling exhausted, running out of resources, injuries, things like that. Just so that when we're resolving things narratively, like this hazard that we're about to find out Edwin is encountering, we know who in the group feels most able to help in the moment. So for example, in this case, we know that Terry was a little occupied, so Temperance, they're going to be a little behind, but Ilana feels motivated and so might be able to get there sooner. So Georgia, please tell us, what terrible danger does Edwin find himself in?
So I think he is so happy to see this forest. In a different way to Alana, his eyes light up when he sees it. He's heading straight in without any consideration for the dangers there might be, sharp rocks, trees falling. He doesn't care. He's so happy. I think he's chatting away to Louise about bugs that could be here, about beetles that live in these subterranean forests, in a way that he doesn't really think she's listening. He's just he's spouting interesting facts about bugs, and to such an extent that rather than any of the numerous exits that we see through these trees, through these forests, the ground gives way beneath him when he steps, and he plummets into this deep, dark space beneath this thin rock.
Oof. Okay, so mechanically, in terms of the game, we have 3 1s and a 5 on our hope, and a 2 and a 5 on our despair. Anyone can spend 1 of their hope to re-roll as many of the dice in the roll as possible. I would recommend re-rolling the 5 on the despair dice and the 3 1s on the hope dice, but I'm not the boss of you. You can do whatever you want. We need to end up with 3 successes that are not cancelled out by despair. So, I mean, Georgia, the way you set that up seemed to be like Louise's closest, and Wren, you do have hope to spend. Would you like Louise to try and help?
Yes. I think as Edwin was prattling on, Louise was a bit the way you described it. Louise was a bit distracted. She seemed to be working something over in her hands, just kind of pushing her hands back and forth. And were anyone to pay attention, you would see a pale, small stone, one that sort of mirrors the ones that were cupped in the hands of that young woman made of stone. And she's working it because it feels familiar. The grain of it against her hand feels familiar. And as she's about to turn and ask something. She sees Edwin stumble, and she hears a familiar sound of rock and shale splitting apart, and her hand grabs out for him instantly. She's not prepared for the weight of him, and so I think she slams down into the ground, trying to grab onto the shoulder, the armband of your pack is what she manages to get hold of as she's holding you in this empty space down below.
Okay, oh my goodness, and Wren, I hadn't even thought of course, Louise, this is going to be so familiar for her. Okay, Wren, if you would like to roll the re-roll, so that'll be 3 hope and 1 despair, please, and tell us what you get.
3 hope and 1 despair. I'll do the despair first. Oh, the despair was a 5. Let's see if the hope is any better. Oh, it's only a 4.
Oh, well, you did get a 4. Okay, that we're getting closer. We've got 1 success that isn't nullified now. We didn't have that before.
Eddie's dangling. It's fine. It's good.
Well, I think, you know, Eddie's dangling and Louise is dangling too. Like I think like you say, like you described, Wren, there with when you said that you know, Louise didn't quite expect the weight. I think she starts to slip. And can, you know, maybe reach out for a tree or a branch or something, but she's very conscious it's not going to last forever. She's going to need someone else, because you're going to start slipping too, and you can feel the ground crumbling away beneath you.
A little help here.
Okay, Joan and Ilana are the ones who still have hope. Poorna, would you like to help?
Sure, I'm rich in hope now. I have 1. What can I do?
You can do a re-roll of our 5 on despair, that pesky 5, and the two 2s on the hope. So if you roll 2 hope die and 1 despair die, and tell us what you get in exchange for spending your hope.
Okay, 2 hope die and 1 despair die. So I rolled a 4 and a 3 for hope and a 3 for despair.
That does
Fantastic.
it.
That gets us through. So describe to me, please, Poorna, for Ilana, how Ilana helps Edwin and Louise, stops them from getting hurt. And Annie, you know, you can use a resource to do this. It might be something that you expend now, because I mean, with those 2 4s and a 5, we've spent all that hope. So this is a probably resource-intensive moment as we escape disaster.
Okay, I think having sort of like renewed sense of purpose and hope based on the last Chamber of Wonders that I went through, that I saw, I think Ilana will have sort of just not even thought about the danger of it, just seen what was happening as they, as Perry and Ilana enter the space where it's apparent that Louise and Edwin have somehow gone from this beautiful rainforest into what? And then so without really thinking about it, Ilana takes so she has one of the handy things about being a hydrologist, I think, or I think really anyone who goes, can you tell I'm not very sporty? Anyway, is that I have a lot of waterproof stuff. So I think one of the things that I do is sort of take this raincoat thing off of my pack, which is entirely, well, obviously it's waterproof, but it's like a canvasy thing, a large thing that I'm going to fashion into like almost a seat, like almost like a swing seat. So, and then gonna attach trying to put the seat of the swing under Edwin to like help pull him up, and then like gestures to Perry, goes, okay, you're gonna have to take one of these, and then we're gonna have to pull him up like a child on the playground. Okay. Which is much more cheery prospect than this, but let's not think about that too much. Okay, so, and then as I understand it, Louise, you are sort of like the shoulder upwards, you're like trying to hold on to Edwin, right?
Yeah, Louise is essentially flat on her stomach, like arm over the edge of this precipice, holding on to it.
Okay. So I think we'll take position on either side of you, and then like try and get the seat. So try and get Edwin like in 3 motions, like 1, 2, and then pull him up enough to like get the seat under him, so that we can pull him up more carefully, because we don't really know anything about this space, given that half of us are 30% of us are falling. So we're gonna so we're gonna pull Edwin up, go, okay, it's okay, and then like with one hand sort of knotted, one of the sides of the rope knotted around my wrist, I'm gonna pull with one hand, and the other hand is gonna like also create a sort of sling for your shoulder, and like hold on to that, to Louise's shoulder, and just sort of use, I don't know if any of this makes sense. I'm pretending like I've watched a lot of medical dramas, okay? I know what I'm talking about. And then I just help pull Edwin up, and as Edwin gets like closer to safety, I think we pull Louise back so that they're sitting up, and then pull Edwin so that we're all basically lying in a dog pile at the end of it.
Perry, who was requested to hold the other end of the sling to pull, looks askance at Joan, the person of the two of us who actually does field work, and was like, well, I guess I was asked. And upon
we had a moment. You took a great photo of me. It's great.
Absolutely.
We're gonna do this.
No, absolutely. It was,
Perry was also here.
Asked Perry to do. Perry is petty. And upon like all of you safely in a pile, they immediately drop the other end of the rope to the floor quite unceremoniously.
I wanna add just before Perry does that that when they give Joan this look, Joan like often has quite a somber expression, especially in this scenario, but has just like tiny hint of a smile, smirk, unclear, but comes up, stands behind Perry, and immediately like takes the rope as well, and kind of shoulder to shoulder with you, basically like braces you to like help with the lifting. And I mean, if Perry still strops off, then I think that Joan will genuinely kind of laugh a little into his shoulder before.
Yeah. Like upon Perry, upon you assisting Perry, you immediately feel that Perry starts pulling less. The nanosecond that somebody else is also pulling, and but does continue holding until everybody is safe, and then immediately distances themselves from physical effort.
Amazing. And yeah, Joan, I think, grins a bit at that. But we survive, which is good. Also, just a note, Georgia, this may not surprise you. Edwin did take a point of despair from falling in a hole. Edwin in the no good, very bad day.
He's having a time.
He sure is. We also spent a bunch of hope, just so everyone knows, but we are not currently in triggering long rest territory. So the next thing to do, having now, I think, once we've saved ourselves from falling, we can see that there is quite a clear path forward through this hole in the ground, and we can set up some proper abseiling, and we can get down safely. Georgia, please could you roll a d6 to tell us how many chambers are on the next level?
Of course. That's d6. I've got 6.
Wow, again?
Yes.
This happens all the time. The laws of probability say every time you roll a d6 you don't get a 6, and yet Okay, well, thank you very, very much. That leads us then to Nathan. It's Temperance's turn to explore. You have
okay.
2 hope, and you have the group. You seem surprised by that. Oh,
That's
it's me!
surprisingly early, because the stalactite cave was my role, so you would have at least had a go before I go again.
Yes, yeah, no, I forgot myself again. It's all good. You can tell who's the forever GM in this group.
no.
Did Amber just play me sympathy music?
I did, yes.
Okay, it's my turn. I'm exploring. The group currently has 2 hope and 3 despair. I need at least 1 success that isn't cancelled out by despair. Let's see what we get. That is 2 failures. Okay. It was not great for me. So Joan immediately takes a point of despair, but also I can only be assisted by someone who has hope, which is currently only Edwin. So Edwin, would you like to help Joan not die? You currently have 2 hope and 2 despair.
Sorry, was that me? I was looking at my map.
Yes, sorry.
Sorry, I was.
So Joan failed to explore, which means that she has encountered a hazard. Before I frame the hazard, you are the only person in the group who currently has hope, so you're the only person who can help. Would you
I will
like
give
to
you my help. Yes.
Okay, great. Let me explain to you what has happened. So here's what I think it is. Let's think about caves. Let's think about what we could have fallen into. I think that this is the one. I think when you fell before Edwin, and when Louise, you saw Edwin falling, the concern was that, you know, it looked like a sort of pit of blackness, and you couldn't see anything, and so it looked very deep. But what we realized when we abseiled down into it is that we couldn't see the floor of the cave, not because it was so far away, but because there's a very, very high pool of ink black water, and this cave is almost completely flooded. And as Joan goes down, like we all have, and we all would have because we planned for this, some breathing equipment, some essentially scuba diving equipment. So Joan gets that out, she puts that on, goes further down the rope, using the rope to guide her. However, what it does, which can save, is that as we get deeper, because of the way that physics works in these caves, because of the way the water moves and the holes in the stone move, she feels herself being pulled quite violently into a much smaller and narrower tunnel, away from the main chamber, and somewhere where she doesn't know if it's a dead end, she doesn't know if she'll be able to come up for air, she doesn't know if she'll get trapped, and she is basically trying to hold on to the edge of this stone tunnel to stop herself getting sucked into this narrower hole, away from like the main pool, as it were. And so I think that that's the problem that he's having. So how can Edwin help him in this moment?
I imagine we're all abseiling down using the same rope into this darkness, and I think it's less that Eddie sees Joan vanish; it's that he feels like the strengthening on the rope lessen. He senses that lessening of grip, and so he, in sort of this moment of panic, he shoots out a hand to grab Joan, just any part of Joan that he can snatch. I think he manages maybe to grab his arm as he's pulled into this.
And I think as Eddie does, you know, Joan has these very strong kind of calloused hand, and immediately like grasps back, and he gets very much that forearm to forearm thing, and manages to kind of like push himself forwards and then kick away from the cave. And once we're out of this like one very strong current, it's okay, but it's kind of, as it is in the ocean, you can just dip into these currents and dip away from them. There may be like a foot wide kind of danger area, but you know, very nearly sucked into that, and we're able to guide the others away from this danger spot and into the kind of safer parts of this pool, to places where we think we might be able to come up for air and keep going. But yeah, there's this really frightening moment, and I think, you know, we can't talk, we're underwater, you know, we've got the of the scuba diving masks, but I think that Edwin, you see Joan, frankly Joan's surprise, because I think Edwin has seemed quite like a bit of a damsel in distress through the course of this experience so far, and it's also, you know, quite slight. And Joan is kind of surprised that you had the strength to do this, and the wherewithal.
I think Joan also sees through the water Edwin's own surprise.
But also Joan's enormous relief, and that relief turns into respect as you help him guide the others away from this hazard, and you know, you take the time to make sure that no one else gets trapped in this way. And as we're moving through this very cold, dark water, and our headlights are kind of carving paths through the darkness, but not enough to see the edges of this chamber of water we're in. Yeah, Joan, it takes her a moment before she lets go of your arm. She squeezes your arm before she lets go.
He gives you a watery smile.
So I will take a point of hope. You will spend a point of hope. So Georgia, now you've got 1 hope, 2 despair. I've got 1 hope and 1 despair from the scary encounter with the cave. And we also actually, in what I feel is an appropriate moment for it, hit our long rest threshold, as we now have twice as much despair as we do hope. So we currently have 4 despair and 2 hope. As we get out of the water, we take a moment to catch our breath, to calm down, to get our bearings, to eat, to sleep if we can, and also mechanically to either bond or heal. Healing scenes being a short vignette in which you describe a way in which your character has maybe had a breakthrough about the fears that confront or define them, or bonding where we talk to each other. When you heal, you get to transform 1 of your despair dice into a point of hope. The people who currently have despair are myself, Georgia, and Wren. And when you bond, each character taking part in the bonding scene, it's normally 2, takes a point of hope. So we'll start with, in the circle, Nathan.
Sure.
Temperance.
Since Temperance has no despair, unusual, they will start a bond. So that means that there's 1 other person that also has no despair currently. It makes sense for us to have a bonding scene in that case. Sure.
It is Poorna.
Yeah. So in this kind of sodden hollow that we find ourselves in, there is... for the first time in this expedition, you see Perry actually set up some of their kind of like photography equipment. Not necessarily to go and take any photographs, but in the process of to do maintenance on all of them and check that they're still intact after having kind of dived through water to do so. And there is like a tiny projector that projects a big square on this flat sheet of rock that we're currently on, and as Perry is rotating through a handful of test pictures that you can see of all of us on the surface, they took a group shot of everybody without themselves in it. And you see the 4 of you kind of like standing kind of like adventure, and other kind of like shots of the equipment or the sky or whatever, and then the shot of you in the rain. It seems that they hadn't actually taken any other photographs, as far as you're aware, on this particular journey.
I think so. My character class's whole thing is trying to find how they matter in the large scheme of things, how they make a contribution to the world, to society, and specifically my role as a hydrologist and what I saw myself doing, and adding to how I would matter, how what I did would matter was to do more field work like I'm doing now. But the thing that just happened where Alana didn't expect herself to sort of be able to get through a crisis like that. So sort of, at least in her own opinion, very efficiently. So is sort of feeling quite pleased with herself, and is sort of also sitting with the feeling of what I did to help save Edwin's life is always going to matter to him. It's something he'll carry with him, I'm sure, for the rest of his days, and I certainly will. And I think also reflects on, which is not something that Alana is used to doing, reflecting on making the distinction between her work and herself as a person, as a human, the personhood of it, and sort of looks at Perry and goes, and again, as the words are leaving her mouth, she knows she's going to regret it, but she goes, so, like, I don't know if you heard me mention, but I'm getting married next month. You don't do weddings. You know what? We have a photographer, but I think you would enjoy being in photographs that are professionally captured. Do you think?
My career is largely about taking pictures of things that people don't normally see. Do you have any idea how many weddings there are in a year?
More than 2 for sure.
Not to bruise your ego, but I would not necessarily say that your wedding is rare. But it is a special occasion. Beat. Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm really looking forward to it.
They did not respond to your thing about you should be in photos. They intentionally danced around that. You can tell.
Yeah, and honestly, I think at any other moment, Alana would have been like, well, first of all, it would have been like, why are you randomly adding someone to the guest list a month before the wedding? And also, like, oh, why wouldn't you want to come to my wedding? But I think, given that she's feeling so pleased with herself, is like, okay, that's fine. This moment is good. I have stood in the rain. I have helped another human. I'm remembering the little things that matter. And I might just be one of those little things that matter. So it's fine. Perry's reluctance to address the invitation is not seen as a deep personal affront.
Sure, yes. On Perry's part, upon you looking like the cat that ate the cream, it's like, well, we'll see if I get to feel like that if I manage to take this blasted photo. Nothing is quite...
What are you trying to capture now?
Well, something that really feels unseen. I thought we were maybe deep enough, and then we saw that statue, and I was like, oh, this is the realm of others.
Sure.
It might not have been seen for a while, but I don't think it passes standard. There are so many people who've seen the ruins of Machu Picchu, who have seen the inside of all of the pyramids of Giza. I don't think this would necessarily tip the scale at all, alas.
Is that important, tipping the scales?
Perry looks at you, and you can see an eye. There is a large crack in the mirror shades, just wide enough where you can see that there is an eye through it, and it is angry at you. The people who I make art for have high standards.
Of course. I just meant it sounds like you have already achieved so much professional success. I don't. How could you potentially?
Oh, I wish that
scale
mattered.
any further.
But there is a sympathetic hand, like a there on your shoulder. I wish that mattered. I've been at this for 15 years. I could fill 2 photo books. I've filled 3. They didn't notice the repeats in the 3rd. And none of that matters. Not after that fucking exhibition.
Right.
But it's fine.
And
I'll find something better.
and then Alana sort of decides that because you're starting to talk about things that you're starting to dismiss things you've done that as things that don't matter. Alana decides that's enough trying to make conversation with Perry. That's fine. Just gonna
a toxic conversationalist. You shouldn't.
and sort of picks at her rations. And I have to say, like, an idle thought sort of goes through her mind where she's like, do you know how food tastes different on airplanes? Is food supposed to taste different this deep in a cave system? Because honestly, I love the sandwich. Honestly, it tastes like cardboard and chalk today.
There is you make eye contact with Perry again. The crack isn't there. I don't know. I don't really taste much of anything these days. And they go back to their work in silence.
Both of you with these little glimpses. Also, just the moment where I just very artistically took Poorna really seriously because there was a question and I was like, yes, I will answer that question. And then I was like, oh no, she's doing a thing. Apologies. So Poorna and Nathan both take a point of hope.
Yay.
For your 2 characters. And then we'll go around to Wren. So Wren, you can either heal if you'd like to, you can turn your despair into hope, or you can bond with another character. What would you like to do?
I will try to heal again.
Oh, hell yeah.
As the 2 are talking, Louise is again sitting legs akimbo, and she is rolling her shoulder of the arm that she reached down to grab Edwin with. In her other hand, she has the little stone. She doesn't remember when she picked it up, but she still has it. And she's rolling it, and the grain of it reminds her of river stones, of stones that she would collect down with her father, stones that they would skip across the water's surface, plink, 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 until they would drop into the water. It was that same river, rains and rains and rains, until it swelled and swelled and the earth grew less stable, and it sloughed down the hillside. And she looks at the stone in her hand, and it's not exactly like the ones that she would have with her father. And she grasps it, and part of her wants to pocket it, to take it with her for the rest of the journey, to keep it close. And then she raises an arm back and flings it out across the dark water. Plink, plink, plink. till it drops into silence.
That is extraordinarily beautiful. And since your character class's prompt is to let them go, I think you do heal. So you can turn your despair into hope. You're Poorna dropping the wedding, Wren doing the most beautiful narration, using the word sloughed in the most beautiful way. Hey, Georgia, you may heal or you may bond. The only person left to bond with is me. But you can also heal. What would you like to do?
I mean, as much as I would love to bond with Joan, I think there's some stuff they need to talk about. I'm so aware that Edwin's thing is being all right with being alone.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he might have to heal in this instance. So I think he's got some thinking to do. He's had a near-death experience, as far as he's concerned, and he's also saved someone, which I don't think is something he's ever considered himself able to do. He is a person who's always thought that his mind is the only thing about him, and also he's been so scared to sit alone with his mind. He doesn't know what he'll be if he's just there alone, because there's not enough of him to be there. But I think as he sits on his own, kind of just slightly back from everyone, I think he does observe Louise picking up this stone that she's carried with her from the tomb area and skipping it across the water. And although he doesn't sort of respond to it, he doesn't say anything to her about it, I think that makes him pause, and he reaches into his backpack. That was the thing that saved him, which Louise grabbed earlier, and he sort of shuffles around inside it past all his bits, and he brings out a little box of hard plastic, and it's got a little kind of velvety material underneath, and inside it is a body of a beetle. It's a sort of beautiful iridescent body, clearly dead, and he looks at it. And I think also being up in the woods upstairs, he's kind of realized that he's been carrying this body around, desperate to give it back to a group of creatures that it might never have known. It might not be where it came from. He's just wanted to give it back because he is so frightened of this creature, like him, being alone. And has he put too much of himself into this body? And is that the only reason he came down here? And I think sort of as he watches this stone sink into the dark waters ahead of them, he sort of gently gets up, he kind of shuffles, and then he just slips the box into the water and watches it sink. And then steps back before he can make himself grab it again, and sits back down.
Oh boy. Yep. You heal. You turn one of your despair into hope. That is very beautiful.
Every time Ella has said in the past few minutes, you turn your despair into hope, she just sounds so full of despair that it's just like, are you
She's
sure?
taking on the despair instead.
Yes, giving it to you, Ella.
I am feeling very moved, and I think that I'm also just grappling with the reality of I wrote a sad game to make my friends sad without realizing that my friends could make me sad. And
Hubris.
it's hubris, exactly.
Hoisted by my own petard.
I am. Yeah,
Tragic,
no,
tragic.
it's just like, I'm sitting here going like, wow, these characters and their beautiful journeys and what poignant moments, and oh, I'm so sad. Okay, anyway, Well, there is no one for me to bond with, so I shall heal. I will say there is a rule in the zine for this situation, and it does say you can bond. It's just that no one takes more than one hope for a long rest. But I will heal anyway because I think it makes sense. My character's prompt is to bask in the wonder of the unknown and unknowable, because I think the thing that I struggle with is that I think if I could just figure things out, then understanding will fix everything, and I have to let that go. So I think Joan takes in these like little incidences happening around us. Like, I'm imagining that apart from Temperance and Alana's somewhat tense conversation, we are generally having quite a quiet rest here. I'm imagining quite a lot of silence between us as we eat and rest or sleep. And so in that quiet, with the water and the dark, Joan hears the stone fall into the water. And Joan notices the rustle of fabric as Edwin seems to let something go as well. And she is looking at her map, which she has been drawing with a chalk crayon. And the water itself is waxed. The paper itself is waxed to make it waterproof. And as he looks at the map, the chambers shift. They move. They change. The notes that he's made with them change. Sometimes they say tomb, and sometimes they say mushrooms, and sometimes they say moss, and sometimes they say crystals. Sometimes it says stalagmites. Sometimes it says laboratory. The map is kind of swimming, and he brushes a thumb across his own drawings, and the map stills. Becomes once again a reflection of the journey that we've been on. And he's sitting, sort of resting his arms on his knees, looking up at this great emptiness, which cannot be charted and does not need to be charted. It is only what it is, and it only ever will be what it is. And he puts his wax crayon behind his ear, and she folds up the map. And she puts it under a stone next to her and puts a stone on top of the map. So that if anyone ever finds themselves this lost, they can pick up where she left off. And then she walks away. I will change my despair into hope.
Oh.
So that leaves us on 7 hope and only 1 despair.
Yeah.
There are 2 more chambers for us to explore. And then our journey will come to an end. There are 3 thresholds in this game that mark potential endings. The first is when we've explored as many chambers as there are players, which is 5. The second is when we've explored twice as many chambers as there are players, which is 10. And the last is when we've explored as many strata, as many levels as there are players, if people want a really long game. But I think 2 more is the right amount. So I'm going to suggest that just for now, my players and I are going to take a brief break. Just 10 minutes to get some water, just look after ourselves, and then we'll come back in to finish off the story and let our characters go. Back over to you, Amber, my co-host.
Back to you in the studio. Hello. Fantastic work, everybody. I feel like I'm listening more than like actively listening more than last time, and it's been absolutely wonderful. So thank you. It's wonderful to be back here. But I'm gonna kick over to this screen. So players, if you want to head on over to the, I am literally in a studio. That's very, very true. But yeah, if you want to head on over to the other room, just so it means that you've got a space to yourself and you're not overhearing me talking to everybody. Hello, everybody in chat. Thank you very much for being very respectful to our players and being very kind to our players. I hope everyone is doing well. How is everybody doing? Is everyone enjoying the stream? if you have not already, if you are not already aware, this is a game that is currently crowdfunding. It's currently raising money to go into production, and have physical copies that you can hold in your hand, and it is still available. It's currently the reason why that's there is that it's currently still. It's currently showing our stream, but because we're on Twitch, we can't see it. But we have we're not too far away from the stretch goal to get more cassette tapes. So if you missed out on getting a cassette tape, now's the time to hopefully get one. But yes, I keep almost crying at the storytelling. It is amazing, isn't it? Like it is wonderful. Like I think it's something that like actual plays aren't something I actively watch very often. But whenever I've taken part in one, it's always been this incredibly emotional time. It's been a very it's been full of these very, very gentle, very heartfelt moments of just incredible storytelling. And I think the ability to have this kind of storytelling, to tell stories like this, kind of off the cuff, is an incredible skill, and it's one I very much admire. It's something that like I do enjoy doing, but I don't know. I like having the ability to edit afterwards. Strike 29, welcome. Hello, Amber. The music sounds amazing as always, and the storytelling keeps making me go oh and feel feelings. I am very much enjoying the music process for this one. I completely forgot that there is an arpeggiator function on the Moog. And the arpeggiator function has a random setting. So basically, I just kind of need to kind of go, right, well, what notes do I want it to play? What notes do I think will sound good together? Play that chord, and then let it do its thing, and just set the randomizer on, and it'll just randomly pick out notes, which has been wonderful. Funny Die in a Cave meme has so many heartfelt moments. It does, doesn't it? Groundbreaking news. Very good. Very, very good. But yeah, it's very cool to be able to experience the game. To experience the game, and to experience the game, but then also to kind of have an insight into it. Like with Up River, Down River, and Pit Crawler, I didn't get a chance to play the game beforehand, so it's rather wonderful to be able to sit in on a game. As much as I'm not playing the game this time, and I am looking forward to playing it at some point, but the ability to sit in on a game has been really cool and really interesting, I think. Sorry, just letting the players know. But yeah, we're going to be doing more music for this on Wednesday. I think Ella's going to be joining us. So it means that we will be able to listen to the music and talk about the music and work a bit more on the music that we've made for the game so far. And yeah, I think it's going to be the last time we stream the soundtrack. Because I kind of want to move on to other things. I want to move on to other projects, and also like I feel like we need a new stream project. We need something to make on stream. So I need to have a little think about what that's going to be. I need to have a think about what I want to make. I do kind of want to make another tiny audio drama, and I do have an idea for a tiny audio drama, but I've not quite finished writing it yet, and the recording of it's a bit fiddly, so I'm gonna have to record it off stream. But I like the idea of moving on to like a tiny audio drama to make on stream over the next few months, because it has been almost it's been a while since Hello Earth came out. And like I really like I am sadly realizing that I think Hello Earth might be the like platonic ideal of making art for me, in that it's something very small. It's something very small that I can make really quickly and really easily. It means I can explore these little ideas, these little ways of making things, these ways of recording things, these ways of putting stories together. And and just kind of having it available for anyone that wants it, but not in a kind of putting it as, like, not rather than shouting out into the void. It's more kind of going, I have a thing, I've made a thing, and sort of you're putting up a little sign being like, I've made a thing, and like it's almost like having a shop. People have to come up to me as the shopkeeper and go, hi, I heard you made a thing, can I get the thing? And I really like that. I really like that people are still emailing me about Hello Earth. People are still asking me about it. I still, like, it's sort of petered out to maybe 2 or 3 people a month, but that's incredible. It's just, it's an incredible thing to find. I'm glad that the word is still circulating for whatever reason. The copies are still circulating. It makes me very, very happy. I applauded. Thank you. It's such a well-rounded and intentional game. It's so amazing to hear the amazing descriptions everyone has in each scene. Ella has put together a fantastic group of players, which is delightful. And full credit to Ella here. Ella kind of went, are we able to do a stream around the Deepest Dark? And I kind of said, well, why don't we do an actual play? And then did not think about what that actually meant in practice and how that meant in terms of organizing. So it's been, and whereas Ella just went, right, I know exactly what I'm doing. I'm going to go away and organize it. I'm going to find people. I'm going to speak to people. I'm going to get it all organized. I'm going to arrange dates, and things. So like Ella has done the bulk of the organizing around this one, and it's been fantastic. Because it's meant I haven't had to do it, which has been wonderful as well. So, but yeah, it's I'm kind of like, it's interesting right now because I'm working on 3 different soundtracks at the same time, and they're all very different projects. So it's kind of interesting how there's been like the tiniest bit of cross-pollination between them. But it's like, it's not necessarily a practice I would recommend. 2 maybe, but 3's maybe one too many, I think. Because so for those that aren't aware, my partner Sarah has been making a feature film for the past couple of years, and we've nearly finished the soundtrack. I have one more scene to do for the soundtrack, and then that'll be done. And that's hopefully going to be this week. This week is going to be the week I send off the score, and then have that finished. But I'm also doing the score for R.E. Frankenstein, which is currently in production. Which is more sort of like an audiobook kind of score, which is an interesting challenge all itself. And then we have, Deepest Dark, which is much more of a sort of dark ambient experimental kind of thing. Hey Amber, are you okay? 3 is a lot. I am actually doing okay. Like the thing is, Fight Me is nearly finished, Sarah's feature film. The soundtrack is nearly finished. Like I said, I've got one more scene to do. It's worked out to be, I think, 50 individual cues. I think it's worked out maybe 20 pieces of music. It's been interesting. It's been an interesting learning curve, learning the difference between film music and audio drama music and like game music. There is a difference, turns out. There is actually a different way to score each one of those different mediums. And it's been a fun learning experience, kind of dotting between the two, I think. Hopefully I remember some of the lessons as we move forward. That sounds like a lot. It is a lot is the thing, on top of my usual work as well, which has been something. But I did the thing that I've done every year for the past 3-4 years, where I've started the year very overbooked. Gay music, I mean, it's all gay, isn't it? It's all there. It's all gay. Fight Me in particular, yes, definitely, very much so. But yeah. Oh, do we want the sound alerts back on? I just realized I turned them off and I haven't turned them back on again. Let me get those on for you. Oh, they are back on. If anyone would like to do the sound alerts, because I completely forgot. You've been ever so good. But okay, I was like, well, it's a quieter night tonight. Yeah, okay, never mind. I forget I said anything. You are a sick, nasty sound pervert. Thank you. Yeah, just get it out of the. Everyone, get it out. Get it out of the system. It's lovely. It's our love language is very loud sound alerts. An excellent comic timing. But thank you very much for being here tonight. Thank you very much.
You pay for your mistakes, one way or another.
Indeed. Okay, we're coming back.
Podcasting.
Okay, right, we're going back. Right, okay. Let me turn these back off again. Thank you for that. That was lovely. That was delightful. I feel refreshed. I feel rejuvenated. But thank you very much. This is indeed podcasting. But yeah, I think tonight's going rather lovely. I think I'm having a lot of fun with the grandmother and the arpeggiator. That's a trick I forgot I knew how to do. So that's been delightful to see. Now I do notice that that's a different thing, as is that. So I'm going to go over here now. The configuration is the same. I was a little bit worried. I was like, oh no, people are in a different order. How confusing! But no, everyone is back. Everyone is back where they were before, which is lovely. So now I'm going to stop talking because I've talked enough, and I'm going to pass back over to Ella. Over to you.
Thanks, Amber. I hope you all had fun with your brief permission to use the sound alerts. I could see them all popping up in the chat. We're coming back in now to finish our story, our actual play of the Deepest Dark with our characters. We have 2 more chambers to explore. So we've got the next one, and then the one after that will be the final one, the one in which our characters realize what has happened. And just as a bit of rules reference for my lovely players, because as I say, the players have been working off a draft document of the game. So just to give you a bit of information, I've added a little bit more text about this since the draft that I sent you. When the game ends, which it will, we shoot, this is the wrong version. We will be able to describe as a group, the moment of realization and the moment that our characters each pass on. So each of us can describe what happens then. The moment of realization is not intended to be long, because in that moment of realization we will begin to pass on, but there will be time for us to kind of say any final things we want to say. And then finally, the end of the game is always that we go around in a circle and ask each other, was it worth it? Knowing what we know now, knowing what we would have found down here, knowing why we came down here, was it worth it for our character to come down in the first place? Would we do it again? And we may not all agree, but we will find out. For now, and just for fun, because I'm pretty sure you're going to succeed, Nathan, it is time to explore the next chamber. You have 7 hope to roll and 1 despair. You need 1 success.
Watch me take this swing. Watch me take this drive.
It would be extraordinary.
Okay, so the despair die was a 1, so it definitely cannot affect the circumstances at hand. We have... So actually, rolling a large number of die is maybe not necessarily a good thing, because the ones that aren't 6s go, but are still successes. So I have 2 6s, a 5 and a 4. So we very, very much succeed, but we do lose 2 hope in the process. Yeah.
We do, and I think the simplest thing to do at this point in the game is to say that that's one of mine and one of George's, because we're the only people with 2 hope.
Okay.
And we'll still have hope remaining.
We, after our rest on the shore, I guess, of this large pool of water in this second tier of cave, eventually we should continue proceeding. I don't know. Perhaps I feel lucky, or just restless. It's hard to tell. And takes point, making the way down this cavern. And it starts to get colder and colder. We see the kind of like rivulets of water and patches of moisture that soaks the walls and floor in drips and drabs, both from this pool and having kind of filtered in from the tiers above, starts to freeze. And eventually we have to be careful to not slip on patches of ice. As we move into this space that the walls feel almost move from being natural and abstract to almost geometric. You get the impression that the walls of this are smoothing out as we go and getting colder, and eventually we realize that we are in a tunnel that is a pentagram. Not a pentagram. Damn. That's the ritual. It's why have I forgotten what a five-sided shape is? What a five-sided shape is called? It's pentagon, not pentagram. There we go. I'm not a scientist. I'm a photographer. We realize that the shape is pentagonal as we walk through, and smoothing, and twisting in steps as we go. Clean, sharp sheets of ice, almost mirror perfect as we go. And eventually, Temperance just stops and just looks down this tunnel that seems to start refracting endlessly, like this tunnel isn't going to end. It's breathtaking. It's always a surprise when there are elements of nature that manage to generate a perfect geometrical shape. We still look at the Giant's Causeway and are stunned by its hexagonal patterns. But even that arresting moment, it's a toss-up between whether it's feeling like we are caught in the wonder of the space or just the trepidation of how long this hall goes for. I don't really know if there's an end to this. But it really is something.
Everything has an end.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think just if Temperance said that out loud, then, you know, Joan says everything has an end and looks at Ilana, and it's like, and water especially, it always comes and goes somewhere.
But it is ever flowing.
And this, well, it seems perfectly happy to remain still. Forgive me a rare indulgence, said with, I think, knowing irony. I would like to take a picture. This seems sufficiently strange. I'll even let you be in it if you so care to be.
Joan nods, sort of puts his hands in his pockets, and, you know, he's overall, like I think we said before, kind of almost the opposite of Perry's very high-tech suit, in that it's quite kind of old, battered cave gear, and looks a little uncomfortable, maybe doesn't quite carry herself with the pride that Temperance at least projects. So Joan sort of shuffles in front of you awkwardly, which is a big concession for her because she doesn't usually like her photo being taken, and looks at you a little bashfully. Just tell me what to do.
You don't need to look in the camera like that. It's not going to kill you.
If you say so.
And, it is a terrible picture of you, Joan. You don't there have obviously been moments in your history where you have been capable of just letting your own consciousness of your physicality go and just let a smile or even a frown or a glance off to the right happen naturally and unposed. And people have taken candid photos of you before and they are radiant. But even in this moment, even in this space that genuinely should be reflecting the perfect light upon your face from all angles, there is a frozen rigidity in you, if not the walls, that prevents this from being an especially good photo at all. Or was it just a one-person picture day?
I'll let you take a photo.
Let me.
I suppose it is a consent thing, isn't it? And as Louise is walking past these white reflecting sheets, there is a moment as one of the sheets distorts her image and it makes it appear as the leg that she steps forward with has bent the wrong way. But it fixes itself in the next reflection.
People may or may not find the data of these photographs at some point in the distant future, but this one is unusual, for it is very difficult to get an impression of when this picture was taken. Analysts would say that these would have all have been taken contemporaneously. All of the other photos are interestingly time-stamped, as most digital photos are what to be. But this one isn't. It has no data associated with when this was taken, and the figure in it could be from any when. Not in anywhere, but in any when. Inscrutable. My hands are getting cold, you two.
Elana will step forward, and I know this is probably not what you enjoy doing, but there do seem to be 5 sides to this, and there's 5 of us. Could you hold the camera as if you were the statue below us, and could we all lean in?
There is the tone of Perry's voice remains even, but there is a sardonic smile that lets you tell that they are joking. You want me to take a selfie?
You know what? You know what? You're right. I don't know why I said it. Forget it. Let's forget that ever happened.
No, I've already taken a picture of you before as a solo. I suppose the others will get jealous or say something about us if there's more than one of you. I do know that people like to gossip about the people I photograph.
I wasn't going to do that.
Yes. I mean, clearly there's such a love connection, so I'm sure gossip will abound.
Your partner would be in pieces. They genuinely smile at this point. It is wide and toothy and mirror perfect.
I'm going to take that risk. Let's take the photo.
And there's a flip of it's effortless, weirdly, the way that they kind of flip the camera around and are now holding it in a way, and they are perfectly steady. You would expect even somebody relatively well trained to have various apparatus to be able to brace themselves, so there's no shake. There is no shake. Still as glass. I'll take a solo shot of you as well, Edwin, don't worry, but for now.
Edwin looks pleased / terrified.
I think he's been marveling at the glass, the mirror perfect walls around us, and as you say his name, he looks around, and there's a sense that he's been miles away, sort of in the distance, somewhere else, and this has brought him back.
I think despite the fact that Edwin's been miles away, as we group in for the selfie, Joan just puts an arm around Edwin's shoulders and kind of like hauls him in.
It's overexposed. It's impossible to really tell who is in this photo. We know that there are 5 figures. There is even a little bit of mythologizing around them, not really being able to tell who they are, that these are actually representations of core human emotions, as their smiles are all slightly different. They are all smiling, but not all of them belie the idea of joy. All right, Edwin, it's time for your solo.
I've never had a picture of just myself before.
They say there is a time for everything.
I do, I suppose. Where would you... where should I? With my hands and with my everything.
You need stage directions, do you? Fine. They put it on the ground. In narrative, are you okay with me mildly manhandling you?
Go for it.
Gotcha. Temperance walks with both an even gait, but to your perspective, surprising speed, and bodily moves you against one of these mirrored walls and poses you joint by joint to how you're supposed to be. I think they pull from their pack the artwork of the Starry Night Beetle that they drew from your description, has it flipped to that page and has you hold it in your hand, and then in a way that historians would say is a thing of fan fiction intention, guides your cheek to look at the exact right angle to hold the book. Perfect.
I think you will notice, and I imagine we would both notice of each other just touching Edwin's cheek, just how cold his skin is. And there's a stiffness underneath that you wouldn't imagine, that you wouldn't expect.
Hold that pose for me, as they go back to the camera and line up and take the shot. There's weird artifacting on this photo found after the fact. There's lots of very small, tiny specks that are across this, not just the subject, but even in the background and the object that they are holding. Even though it's a very high-resolution photograph, researchers are not quite able to tell what it is. Some suggest it's a very small and unusual kind of insect or burrowing creature that is found this deep within these caves. A 5-piece set. I think they'll find that novel. My indulgence is sated. We may continue.
As you say that, it's time for us to enter our final chamber. We ran to roll to get us there. We are currently on 6 hope and 1 despair. Just so you know, I did find a bit of rules text for our context, which is when the group reaches their agreed upon threshold, roleplay a group scene in which the characters realise that they are dead. If the group agrees, their characters simply fade and you move directly to the final question. Was it worth it? Or if the group agrees, the characters can acknowledge the truth of their reality before they go. Your character never sees what happens next. Your control of the characters ends when they pass on. Do not narrate their afterlives. Would we like to have it that our characters arrive in this cave and simply fade, or would we like it that our characters have a moment to acknowledge the truth before they go?
I would love an end room, since this tunnel has to have an end.
I think I'd like to acknowledge it.
Yeah, let's acknowledge. So Wren, please roll 6 hope and 1 despair and tell me what you get.
So it's a 1 on the despair, and it's 1-4 in the hope.
Ooh, we only just get there. And if you would like to, you can either create your own room if you've got an idea for what our final destination is, like Nathan created their own room, or if you would like to roll. I will say for the final chamber, you can roll on the Wonders of the Deep, which are a little bit more extraordinary than those of the Shallows, which is the second roll table, if you would like to. Or you can open up whatever you like.
Oh, I'll try Wonders of the Deep.
Okay.
Also available with the game with matches.
You can back our game right now. Please do. We've got 4 days left. We're really close to our final stretch goal. Please consider backing our campaign. Boop, woo.
Alright. That is a 16. Oh. 1 titanic stalactite hanging from the ceiling, black with red handprints, which when struck sets every cavern ringing like the voice of someone else's god.
Fun fact, that one is another one based on real life. I will give you a bonus information at the end of the stream. That is a real thing that exists in the actual world. Anyway.
As they exit this chilled, icy chamber, the chill follows. It seeps into this, again, large, enormous, gargantuan space, wider than it should possibly be, but then wider than anything they've seen. And hanging from the center is this pointed stalactite, but it hangs almost down towards the floor. It is separated by maybe a distance of 3 feet, close enough that it hovers just in front of your face. The handprints dotted around them are of various sizes, some small, some large, larger than they should be for a human. Some look old. The paint doesn't seem to chip or decay, but oxidize. It has colored and turned a bit brown, and some of it is fresh. And as Luis, almost entranced by this sight, steps forward as if to place a hand into one of the handprints, she stops. She realizes the handprint that she's about to touch is the same size as her own. But then she does anyway. And there's a moment of stillness and quiet. And then a soft and then louder. It's not a sound, but it rings through their body, through the chamber. It bounces off of the walls, it bounces off of the ice walls, it bounces through the water and causes waves. It echoes up through holes and forests. Trees sway. Stalactites dance. Moss shudders. The caves sing back a song that Luis remembers, that everyone remembers but has never heard before. And she strikes a hand against it again, and then again, and then places a hand against it gently, and then her forehead. And turns to look at the rest of the group.
The initial ringing gives Perry pause from looking through the photos taken, and then the second heavy slap against it jolts them in surprise. What on earth was that? Oh.
Do you feel that?
Worst thing I've fucking felt in years.
Come here.
Ilana can hear you having this conversation, and words form in her mind to say, but she can't say them. It doesn't seem to be happening. The thought isn't coming out as speech. And the same ringing that she thinks is happening in her ears, as if she stepped out of a body of water, is just... It's not in my head, it's everywhere. It's... As she tries to step forward to also lay a hand on this stalactite, in her mind, she feels herself reaching a hand forward. Her mind sees it. It's not happening. It's not she's not witnessing herself do it. It's not. She feels separate from this experience. She can see Louise. She can see Temperance. She can hear the conversation. Why isn't she a part of this moment? She knows she should be there. And Alana is locked in this not being able to understand.
I think whilst Alana is kind of frozen in her mind, there is a moment where, for whatever reason and however this works, Joan puts a hand on her back and you feel it. And Joan looks at you and she gives you this very bitten back, bittersweet smile. And then he moves his hand and he takes your hand and interlaces your fingers. And he pulls you forward, holding your hand, to stand next to Temperance and Louise. And he puts one of his hands on the stalactite.
Apparently chat can't hear you very well, so I want you to take
sorry.
that clean.
Thank
You may
you.
need to increase your gainer here.
Yes, it's a little
it's
bit
also-
quiet.
I think it's that I get quite quiet as well, just generally. Thank you. I think that Joan puts a hand on Ilana's back, and Ilana can feel it. And Joan moves his hand to her hand and interlaces their fingers, and gives her a bittersweet smile, and pulls her forward. And then puts one of his hands on the stalactite and looks back at you. Back at you, Ilana.
Ilana felt your hand on her back. Felt logically knew that you were pulling her forward. And feels like she is probably proximal to everyone. But things have just stopped feeling real. It feels like I'm dreaming. Maybe.
I think you see sort of on the other side of you, Edwin puts his hand on the rock as well. And he says softly, I think I remember something. That sound. It sounds like a memory. And that the timidity you've heard in his voice up until now, that uncertainty, sort of quiet desperation to be liked, it's not there. You sound certain of what he said.
Joan nods and smiles at each of you, smirks a little at Temperance. In a sort of the way that an old and mischievous aunt might smile at a mischievous nibbling of sun flavor, and shrugs and presses her hand against the stalactite and says, I think it's time to go. And she begins to fade in front of all of your eyes.
As everybody is placing their hands upon this stalactite, and even when it's like a gentle amount of pressure, it still rings through this space. And Perry can't really bring themselves to watch you connect with the earth in such a genuine and introspective manner, and rather than the tension of having to think about interiority, decides to look through the photos taken in the hallway before instead. They say that the camera doesn't lie, but how cameras are taken can really change the impression of a space. Flattened into pixels, that wondrous corridor feels more like a cheap illusion that you can go to like museums to see, where it looks like you're actually standing on a wall when you're just lying on the floor, kind of thing. It looks chintzy, looks Instagrammable. They sigh. Not even this is good enough. Well, if even those won't convince them on the other side, then maybe the best picture I can take is a selfie. They turn, facing away from the four of you, but hold up the camera in one hand, as one would a smartphone to go and take a picture with people in the background. You even see with their other hand hold up a peace sign as they prepare to take the picture. And as one of those hand placement rings throughout the space, perfectly timed to them trying to pull the trigger, they stop existing. The camera and the mirror shades slam to the ground and shatter into pieces.
Louise can't take her eyes away from her hand, where it fit so perfectly against the one that was already there. And it phases in between seeing rivulets of blood between her fingers and her hand being whole. And she looks at this stalactite again, this massive creation of nature, this unique thing not formed by any hand, but that hands come to leave a mark on. And she wonders and she wonders, and then she stops. She smiles. She lets go.
Ilana sees the hands fade. In her mind, it just makes sense. She can't see her own hands anymore, so everyone else must be feeling the same thing. She can, maybe just as a phantom sensation, she can feel her engagement ring, and she fidgets with it, whether in her mind or in reality, I don't know. And she brings it up to her face and kisses it, and closes her eyes, and says, whispers, maybe in the next life, love, and disappears.
Which I suppose leaves Edwin alone.
I think Edwin is left alone in this darkness, surrounded by the emptiness that these people have left behind. And he just lets himself sit in it for a moment. And then it's as if something within him opens insect wings, and he just comes apart and is gone.
We have come to the end of our story, and there is only one question left to ask. Each of us will take it in turns to answer the question, was it worth it? Knowing what your character knows now, would they descend again? With knowing how the story ends, would you tell it anyway? And if we're playing with candles or lights, each player blows out their candle or turns off their light after they answer. So beginning this time, I think, with Georgia, Edwin, was it worth it?
I'm just going to see if I can turn off my... Oh!
Very dark.
More dark than I expected, but I think for Edwin, it was worth it in the end.
for Alana? Was it worth it?
No. No, it wasn't. Alana wanted to matter, and now she can't.
Wren, for Louise, was it worth it?
I think for Louise it was. She had felt like she was living on borrowed time. But at the very least, she got to find something hidden away that maybe no one had seen before. And that was enough.
Nathan, for Temperance, was it worth it?
About 2 days after the moment we are in now, a news report is generally posted on various message boards and social media mentioning that ex-famous celebrity photographer Temperance Richards has gone missing after a particular cave diving accident in the pursuit of trying to find new work. There are lots of posts, but one of them stands out. Lol, good. It was not worth it for Temperance.
And can someone ask me?
And so, Ella, was it worth it for Joan Cook?
I think for Joan it was. I think that he was a very lonely person. And I think that she'd reached a point in her life where she felt like she was doing this for no reason. She was spending her life doing something for no one. And he didn't know what to think of this strange group of people. And he especially didn't know what to think when we got trapped. But I think when she put her hand on that stalactite, she felt like she had finally found her way. So I think for her it was worth it. And that is the end of our game.
Snaps.
Thank you very much for playing. Thank you everyone for watching. Thank you, Amber, for your beautiful music. Yeah. We will let our players go soon, but not before they can tell you where you can find them and their wonderful stories elsewhere in the world, and in time, and anywhen and anywhere. Nathan, where can we find you?
I have been the Shade Room's most recent piece of candy, Nathan Blades, aka the Neon Caster, tabletop RPG designer, streamer, voice actor, and general internet ne'er-do-well. You can find me on most social media as the Neon Caster, even on Twitch, where I tend to stream on Thursdays. Not this Thursday, though. I am going to a Vocaloid concert. If you would like to go and I know, right? If you would like to go and play my tabletop games, you can obtain those at theneoncaster.itch.io. For a wide variety, for not very much money. Please buy them, I am poor. And look forward to seeing a lot of promotion for my next game coming up, being published by Three Sail Studios, that of Mapamundi and Gallows Corner, City of Espers, where it is X-Men meets Splatoon. We'll be yelling about it a lot in March and going forward, so please do check it out. Thank you.
It's gonna absolutely rule. I seriously cannot wait. Wren, where can we find you?
Hi. Again, I'm Mask Wren. You can find me at Mask Wren on the socials. I sometimes do cosplay, but mainly I am here floating around the TTRPG space. You can find me most recently on Who Hurt You, playing Gallows Corner from said Three Sail Studios. And also on the Bad Spot channel, where we completed a game of public access last year, which will be coming to crowdfunding soon. So if modern horror, where you are just a guy trying to survive the horrors in the American desert, that's the game for you.
Yeah, I love a horror game about a guy. Guy gender neutral, obviously. Poorna, where can we find you?
Hi, I've been Poorna. I played Alana Ravenscroft. You can find me on Blue Sky, on Itch, on many things as P Makes Things or Poorna Makes Things. I make storytelling games mostly with my partner under the name Weave Games. But the next project that I want to mention today is something that my friend Valiant and I are going to do. We are crowdfunding in April for this limited TTRPG web series called Whole New World, which is going to be produced by the One Shot Network, and it captures the chaos of game design from concept to gameplay. It's going to be each arc is going to be in 3 parts. First, we get a designer to come and build a world with us, because let's face it, what's this world doing for us right now? And then we're going to get another designer to come in, get some fun mechanics to prop up gameplay in this world, and then throw this concoction towards a bunch of mostly unsuspecting cast members to do a Chaos AP. It's going to be fun. We're crowdfunding on Kickstarter from the 7th of April to the 7th of May, so watch my profiles and any friends I managed to harangue into promoting it for more on that. It's called A Whole New World.
I'll be promoting it, so like the Porter's profile, my profile. I'll be sharing every post I see. All right, Georgia, where can we find you on the internet?
Of course. Hi all. I am the illustrator of Deepest Dark. You can find me on most social medias under Georgia Cooked. I am a writer and artist, usually for audio drama. I write and produce the Homewood Foundation, which is a fiction podcast with my partner. And if you would like to see me in more TTRPG things, I am also a member of Explorers of Elsewhere, which you can find on YouTube and Twitch, where we stream twice a week, usually various games and systems under the Explorers of Elsewhere world. So check us out and go find me.
Yay. And I'm Ella. If you watch this channel a lot, you may already be familiar with my work, but if you don't, I'm at EJ Watts. I am a writer and director. I love writing TTRPGs. I wrote this one, and I also write audio dramas, including my show Camon, which I made with the wonderful Amber, who scored it and sound designed it and produced it. I am an enormous admirer of all of these people. I'm going to take the all to decompress and rest and sleep. But if the stream is still going once we've said our goodbyes, then I'll pop back in. Otherwise, I will hand you over to Amber in the studio.
Thank you, Ella. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you very much, players, for being here and for jumping on stream. It's been an absolute joy. So thank you very much. I will send you back over to the other room so you can decompress and relax while I send delightful chat over to Otters. We've had a very intense evening, so I'm going to send you over to Otters. I'm going to send you over to Marine Mammal Rescue. If you want to see more Deepest Dark music, I'm going to be doing working on the soundtrack to the game on Wednesday. I'll be joined by Ella as we kind of review what we've done and what we still need to make. That's going to be on Wednesday from 8 p.m. UK time, 3 p.m. Eastern, right here. What else are we doing? And then we'll hopefully be figuring out moving on to our next project. Thank you so much for being here. We're going to go and raid over to Marine Mammal Rescue. Marine Mammal Rescue. It's 24-hour otters. What else do you need to know about the stream? It's 24 hours. It's gonna be wonderful. It's all highlights as well, so it's all good otter stuff. Enjoy the rest of your Monday. Enjoy the rest of your week. Thank you so much for being here. I'm like, it's always a bit nerve-wracking after coming back after being ill for a bit, but it's so nice to be back. It was so nice to be back, and it was so wonderful to share the space with so many wonderful streamers. Hopefully we will see you on Wednesday. But in the meantime, I'm going to send you on over to Marine Mammal Rescue